is here for the show tonight to interview our special guest. Show highlight the Alford Sports Talk Show. The Alford Sports Talk Show. Football, basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer, boxing, tennis, golf, and racing. The Alford Sports Talk Show. The Alford Sports Talk Show. Tune in for all the news and scores, reporting on the games and so much more. The Alford Sports Talk Show. The Alford Sports Talk Show. The Alford Sports Talk Show. The Alford Sports Talk Show.
Everybody to another wonderful episode of the Alford Sports Talk Show. I'm Alan, and we're going to have a fabulous Friday the 13th show. You're in for a real treat. You're in for the right spot. This is the spot to be. Your Friday night just got a whole lot better. Let's go. Yes, indeed. So a lot has actually transpired in the sports world in just a week. A lot has went down, and definitely by far the worst news is the unfortunate passing of PBR star, the one and only 19H, more known as Man Hater. The Bull Man Hater has unfortunately passed away. So sad. I'm still hurt about that because it was my first PBR event that I covered was the one here in Tampa. And just going to that PBR, just in that one time, you could tell Man Hater was special. I love the name, but his reputation preceded the name. It was very difficult for writers to stay on Man Hater for 8 seconds. There was a couple, but the overwhelming majority, I would say two, max three, stayed on it for 8 seconds. Most of them, 2, 3 seconds, they're off. Man Hater had them beat. He had like an 80, 85% success rate where you didn't get to 8 seconds. If you get to 8 seconds, that's the sweet spot in bull riding. Unfortunately, when I did put up the PBR, it was like in between. I was in between a lot of events. I put up the one post. This coming up week, I'll be able to put up a lot more about the event in Tampa. So I haven't forgotten about it. I'm gonna put up a tribute about Man Hater. I'm still sad about Man Hater because he was special. He was a legend, two-time champion. It didn't. It was kind of like meant to be for me to have met Man Hater before he passed because I got to know him in January. I said, man, this guy's he's the bull man. Then on Sunday, they said he had an injury, which I didn't see the injury just at that time. He had a leg injury, and I was working on my car and stuff, and they took him in. I was thinking, not knowing how this works, that he was just gonna heal up, maybe not do bull riding again, but get at least get the need that he need the medical need so that he could continue his life. Well, lo and behold, it was discovered that when bulls, because of their weight, they're different than horses in regard they weigh so much muscle that it's almost impossible for you to heal their leg. And it was made a decision. I see it a post that he has a leg injury. He's getting help. Then the next post, about an hour later, he's passed away. They made the unfortunate decision to euthanize Man Hater. And I was sad about it because I was like, man, not Man Hater. Just in January, we're in March. And it's like this. It's it was like the tale of two things. When I watched the movie Ferdinand, if you gotta watch the movie Ferdinand. It's a really sad story about a bull. I don't want to give away all the movie, but he saw his fate, basically. I'll just say it like that. It triggered me and reminded me of that movie. Plus, when I actually went to the PBR event in Tampa, it wasn't as bad and I would say inhumane as Ferdinand. So that was a good thing. But the bad thing is, if any of these bulls do get a leg injury, which is it is highly possible, and I'm gonna tell you about that in a moment. Unfortunately, due to their muscle, the heel legs, they in most cases are gonna put that bull down because I understand it's gonna be more suffering and more pain as the bull goes on. So it's sad because anytime you do a physical activity, any physical activity, there is a risk of an injury. Whether you are a bull, weigh 1,200, 1,300 pounds or more, whether you're a horse, whether you're an athlete, even if you're an entertainer, there's a risk of you getting injured. It could be a freak injury, things can happen. And that's what this was. I did watch the actual footage of the injury, and it was pretty clear to me that he broke his back left leg, unfortunately. And that can happen. He's doing a lot of bull rides. 20, he did probably about 20 when I was there, maybe less, a little more, but I'm saying that ballpark. And he's traveling all over, from city to city to city to city. So that physical activity, yeah, you can get injured. It's just the law of averages. Whether you're a horse, whether you're a bull, you can get injured. And unfortunately, that's what happened with Manhater, and he saw his fate. And I'm still sad about Manhater, man. But yes, we're gonna pay tribute to Manhater with a heavy heart. I know it happened this week, but when I think about Manhater, man, it's really sad to see him go, and it just happened that quick. Like you wouldn't expect. Man, hater, man. Yeah, so may man hater rest in peace. 19H. All prayers go out to everybody's affected. Prayers to the owners of Man Hater. I know they must be really devastated. And I saw a lot of tributes online, deservedly so. I'm gonna put up my stuff too. I'm not gonna forget about Man Hater. So may Man Hater rest in peace. We're gonna do a moment of silence for the first time ever on the Allen Alford Sports Talk Show to a bull from the PBR 19H Man Hater. May you rest in peace. Moment of silence for Man Hater. Rest in peace to Man Hater. Man Hater. So yes, we're gonna talk some NFL now. Switch some gears. Something very different than professional bull race riding. PBR, professional bull riding rider. Yes, we're gonna talk about Dak Prescott and this drama with his fiance, now no longer fiance, Sarah. Okay, this thing. Let me break this down for you guys. There was a lot of things that came out this week. First, it was inevitably the prenuptial agreement. They were allegedly, this is all alleged. Okay, let me go ahead and back up a little bit, and let's. A lot of it's alleged, but let's talk about the facts. The facts are they met each other in 2023, which is 3 years. Have two daughters, and they were set to get married next month in April in a beautiful wedding in Italy, which is top of the line stuff. They have a joint bachelor party in the Bahamas. Now, before this party in the Bahamas, which was recent, there was, from what was alleged, there was friction in their relationship prior to this trip. Okay. When this joint bachelor party happened in the Bahamas, there was a full blown argument, which led to the dissemination of this marriage. They called off this marriage, and it was allegedly Sarah, the fiance, who called off the marriage. Okay. And what was reported at that time was she was refusing to sign a prenuptial agreement, for Dak. And Dak, they're getting there at the 11th hour. It's almost fourth quarter in the game. I would even say a month to go into you getting married, you're in the fourth quarter. I wouldn't say 2 minute warning, but you're less than 5 minutes to go in the game. You know, I would say if you're 2 weeks away, you're in a 2 minute warning. So they're within their, getting their game time. You know, she calls off the wedding. And first it was prenuptial agreement. Now, allegedly, it wasn't later in the week, the prenuptial agreement. But let me discuss that first and foremost. Let's say if it was or wasn't the prenup. Okay? Because allegedly it wasn't, based on what fiance Sarah said. I would absolutely agree, and I know a lot of women will probably disagree with me, but I would absolutely positively agree if Dak Prescott or somebody of Dak Prescott's status being in this situation, knowing somebody for 3 years, two daughters, them wanting to have a prenuptial agreement. You'd have to do a lot of selling to me, and I don't even think you would be able to convince me otherwise of it not being smart. To me, that was the smartest audible change of play you could ever do with Dak Prescott. That's probably the most intelligent thing I've heard an athlete do was say they wanted a prenup, especially with the type of money Dak Prescott has and will be making. The guy's already worth a ton of money, just signed a $240 million contract. Before that, he's not reckless with his money. He does, treat himself to something nice, but it's all modest. It's all within range. It's not that you can sign a big contract and not treat yourself to something nice from time to time, but you can't do that all the time and you can't be exorbitant about it because if you keep doing that, you'll be a la, you know, let's just say to be nice, Floyd Money Mayweather. You can't spend money like it's quicker than you're making it in order for you to continue to have wealth. And I would absolutely agree with Dak Prescott or somebody in Dak's situation, similar, for them to get a prenup. Let me just say that. So, regardless of whether this was the case in Dak's and Sarah's scenario, because it's rumor or allegedly, I would agree with Dak or somebody other than Dak or somebody in the ballpark of Dak or somebody in the realm of him with those scenario being someone for 3 years, you're getting married for you to get a prenuptial agreement. Athletes, you need to protect yourself. Even if you're not an athlete, if you're making buku money, somebody for 3 years, yes, you might be in love with them, but take it, and this is from a guy who's been married over 20 years. The odds are against you, especially in this day and age when it comes to marriages. The odds are against you. And because you love somebody today doesn't necessarily mean you're going to love them tomorrow. That's just a fact. As times change, you change, your partner changes, you fall out of agreement in certain things you just work things out, certain things are much more difficult to work things out. Kids come involved, they get older, You have a specific way you want to raise your kid, certain things that you will accept, certain things your partner will accept, and the thing goes on and on and on. There's going to be differences. So that is a situation. Then just, you have a situation where you're not the normal person. You're, a public figure. You're not just a public figure like someone just saying they're a public figure on Facebook. You are legitimately a public figure. When you go out to the store in a mall, people notice it, and it's not like an average Joe going to the store, somebody who's not famous, let's say like that, going to the store. So yes, if I'm not saying that this was the case like with Dak allegedly, but I do agree with him if this was his position for him to get a prenuptial agreement. I think that's actually smart on his part to do that, especially being the way Dallas is. Now you've had people who are quote unquote gold diggers already ran gamut on people in Dallas, Texas, where people do well, athletes especially. There is a cap now on how much you get for child support. So yes, you would still get some money, but you would not go to the cleaners and take some of the cleaners, a la Tyreek Hill type of thing. You understand? Prenuptial agreement protects you, and it protects your wealth, because there is no guarantees in marriage. That's just how it is. The odds are against you. The relationship is against you, and unfortunately, the way society is, it's against you. You know. Now, what came out later in the week was that Sarah said it was infidelity. So allegedly, Dak had some burner phones. I think something went down out in the Bahamas. I think happened, putting some of the pieces together. It's alleged, but I think he got a little too comfortable in this joint bachelorette party. And I saw some of the pictures where you have people in bikinis. It wasn't like your typical bachelorette party. It seemed like a lot more loose. Some attractive women. You're drinking. This could be, it could lead to your mind wandering into a bad situation. And allegedly, he's been kind of flirty, and this went to a head. She was giving him ultimatums, according to her. I mean, according to reports, and he, didn't listen. She gave him a few more before they got married, and didn't listen, and so that led to them breaking up. Allegedly, was the infidelity. I would say this much: if you're going to be having burner phones, or you're kicking it to girls while you're on this joint party, and you're not committed to your fiance, believe it or not, I always like to look at the positive of everything. The positive thing is, which has never happened to me. Thank God for that. I've never been left before the altar, or a month before the altar, or what have you, or broken up right when you're at the 11th hour. But it is actually better. I know it hurts and it's embarrassing and all of that other stuff, all those emotions. Then you decide not to get married. Then you actually say, I do, and get married, and find out even during the marriage, or later, or a month later, a couple weeks later, that you made a mistake. Marriage is hard. Marriage is easy to get in and very difficult to get out. Kind of like joining a mob. Very easy to get in, extremely difficult to get out. So that's the positive, is that it doesn't sound, if any of this in the ballpark is true, with Dak being, the playboy that she allegedly is, you know, religious, I would say, womanizer, he's not really ready to get married anyway. And this marriage was going to last. And it seemed like they were having volatile problems even before the Bahamas trip, allegedly. So to me, that's the positive. These two are not really, at this juncture in their life, not a good fit to be walking down the aisle. At least that came to light before the wedding. And I would say that that's the kind of like silver lining. If you're Dak and this is somewhat true, you're trying to hook up with girls, whether on that trip or other places while you're there. You're within 30 days to get married. You're not focused on your wife, and you've been cheating prior to that. You're not ready to get married. Maybe you get pressured to, but you're not ready. And it's good that, you pull the plug. Another positive thing is, And, the fact that now it's a discussion. I definitely think if you're an athlete and you're making good money, you know somebody less than 5 years, you should absolutely be getting a prenuptial agreement, even if you know them longer than 5 years. Because if they love you and they really care for you, they'll get married in spite of a prenuptial agreement. And why would you want to bankrupt your spouse if you're really not in it for the money? If you're married to somebody who's making really, really good money, which Dak is, you're going to be fine. And you're not going to leave empty handed, but you're not going to go ahead and leave, you're not going to have a laundry list of demands that are actually going to be fulfilled. A la case in point, Tyreek Hill, you can look at his situation, getting a Bentley, want the newest Bentley or another Bentley. You it's not fair to your partner for you, male or female, for you to be, taking them to cleaners just because your relationship failed. You understand? What is reasonable, what is amicable, how good of a dad or they are, how engaged they are, that should matter too. But realistically, you had a thought of a relationship working. They did too. It didn't work out. Athletes should really get, if you're a top earner like that, and Dak can make a ton of money, yeah, you should get a prenuptial agreement, especially you know someone 3 years. Like you're not going to convince me otherwise. And again, this is from a guy who's been married for over 20 years. Not only that, I've met a lot of people, well over 15,000 people, and I could tell you a lot of them were married, some of them weren't, but I could tell you the ups and downs of marriages. It takes a deep rooted concerted effort on your part and your spouse's part for you to have a wedding and a marriage that lasts for years and years and years. It's not something you just happenstance get a long lasting, beautiful marriage. It's something that you got to work really, really hard at. Your spouse got to work really, really hard at. And it takes a lot of patience on both sides. So this is good that it was a discussion. Definitely, I agree. If any of this is true, and Dak did want a prenuptial, I agree with him. And even if it's not true, I'm saying that if you're Dak, you should sign a prenuptial. If you're a habitual cheater, you're Dak, allegedly, you're not ready to get married anyway. So that's the silver lining, is that it's a good thing. And I think for Sarah too, it's no sense if he's been chronically cheating. You give him ultimatums, he's ignoring them. Then you go on this trip, all these women, he's flirting there, or if he's not flirting with the girls there, he's flirting with somebody else on a burner phone. He's not ready. He's not ready to settle down. It's not going to get any better just because you say I do. It's just going to be just more of the same. So sometimes it's relationships are just not meant to be. So that is what I got to say about Dak. And we got a lot more to talk about. Yes, let me go ahead and also switch some gears here. Make sure that I get all of you guys' thoughts and comments on a few different things. And let me go ahead and pull this up for you guys here. Yeah, this is, yes, the other thing that was unfortunate this week was Tony Dungy is no longer going to be with NBC next season, which is truly unfortunate. Tony Dungy's my guy. I even ran into him during Super Bowl, during the Super Bowl 60. He did an interview with me here on the Alford Sports Talk show. And about a day later, 2 days later, I saw him on the street on San Francisco. That just shows you how much is going on in San Francisco. Just walking. I was walking this way. He was walking the opposite way. I said, "Hi, Tony." Like he was in a rush going the opposite direction I was going in. And I was kind of rushed too because I had to jump into a meeting as well. He was going the opposite way. And I just said, "Hey, Tony, how you doing?" And he had a few people with him. Tony's a class guy, and he's going to figure out something. Definitely. I know that I saw his statement. I know he's disappointed, and I can understand it. What I've learned, not just that I'm in the media, but just covering the media, paying attention to it, watching sports media, not just sports media, but news media, I have come to the realization that you your job security, unfortunately, in the media space is not something you can guarantee, unfortunately, for you enjoy every day of it, every year, every season. But it's one of those type of situations, if you've been doing it for a long time, that all of a sudden people lose interest in you or they want to watch somebody else. And I think that's what ended up happening, unfortunately, with Tony Dungy. This day and age, with the way society is, they don't respect a lot of time the elders. And not only that, they respect even less what somebody who's a little bit older has to say because they feel like this person is so beyond what's going on today, which is not always the case. But people feel that way. They change their interests and tastes, and before you know it, you're being told, not asked, thank you, but no thank you for your services. Basically, I'm saying the job security, unfortunately, is not the greatest. You know, I would say enjoy every day, every year, but always understand that every day you come to work, when you work in the media, could be your last day there. It's just that's what I've noticed just from my experiences watching, observing people changes, interest changes, and a lot of times when the network is not doing good, even if it's more them, unfortunately, the person who's behind the camera, the person who's in front of the camera, I beg pardon, unfortunately, they look at that position first to change. Maybe we need to get somebody younger. Maybe we need to get somebody, especially in this day and age. A lot of times, I think a lot of sports personalities, not all, but I do think a lot of sports personalities now, it's more about how loud you can get, how over the top you are. Sometimes I think some of the sports personalities just say things just to upset people. They really think the opposite of what they're thinking, but they'll just say the opposite to get some splashes and some ratings, get some looks, and get people upset and riled up. And it just kind of repeats itself. It repeats itself. And I even think a lot of sports personalities that are on there now make the black and brown community look bad by just being too outrageous, too disrespectful, too outlandish, too sometimes even too opinionated. But I've noticed that that's what drives ratings. So I know Tony's not that way. Unfortunately, I could see that being an issue. So my guy, Tony Dungy, keep your head up. May 2nd, he's going to be at Raymond James doing the All Pro Dad. I'm going to be there. I actually got a double hitter that day, 2 events. Thankfully, one's early, the other one's later in the afternoon. So, yes, props to Tony Dungy. I heard about the news. Do I think they made the right decision? No, I don't think they made the right decision because I think Tony has a lot to offer. He gives very, very thoughtful takes, a lot of experience. Everything he's saying is relevant. Nothing is outdated. It holds true from today, 2 weeks from now, 2 years from now. But unfortunately, I think it's more that's how the nature of the business is. You can be doing it for a long time, and it's not just Tony; it's other people I've seen that are outstanding in what they do. Unfortunately, another thing is too they sometimes pile more shows and more hours on, and sometimes it doesn't fit in the family criteria dynamic as much. But yeah, you just gotta be grateful. I know he is of the time, and I know it's Tony's got a lot of other things he can be doing too. So don't feel too bad, Tony, man. You the man. So yeah, I wanted to let you guys see that I did know about that, and that's my guy, Tony Dungy. So I did feel bad about seeing that. Let me also go ahead and mention a couple other things too that we got going on. A lot actually what happened this week. That's yes. So we're gonna switch gears and talk about the NBA. Bam Adebayo scores 83 points, surpassing the late great Kobe Bryant, who had 81 in his game. So it was Wilt Chamberlain. Now it's Bam Adebayo and Kobe. Before it was Wilt Chamberlain and then Kobe and most people in the league didn't even know too much about Bam Adebayo until this 83 points. That will get people's attention, which it did. Let me tell you my thoughts on this and give you my opinion on this. 83 is 83. 83 is 83, meaning that's the number. You understand? That's the number. Bam Adebayo has the record. He is now the number 2 scorer in the NBA in a game most all time. So that is, whether you love it or loathe it, that is what it is, first and foremost. Second part of this, I could understand and see why somebody would be really upset about this. I think it's a few things that happen. Number one, that Bam Adebayo, not to his fault, but he did pass a legend. May he rest in peace, Kobe Bryant, that people admire and love. And Kobe got those 81 points Kobe way, taking jumpers. He got some fouls, but he didn't get nowhere near as many as Bam. He actually started off the first half of the game slow, and the second half he had 50 something plus points, whereas Bam started off real hot and he just kind of like coasted and made it towards the end. Kobe started off slow, real slow into the second half. So Mamba style, he went ahead and got that record. So a lot of this is because of the person you're passing. When you break records, people really admire and love the person who had the record. They feel a certain way that they want that person to keep the record. I know records are meant to be broken, but that is a thing. That's a real thing where people prefer the person they admire and love to keep the record. When I saw some of the highlights and I saw the game, yes, Bam Adebayo, I can't get so mad at him or disappointed because he broke this record, because Bam Adebayo is what I would say is the modern day NBA player. This is what you get. This is the culture of the NBA. You have somebody who is, let's be real, he's a good player and all, and he beat Kobe. Rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. But let me make this clear: Bam Adebayo is not Kobe Bryant, and he's not Mamba mentality. He's just not. He's not. Kobe is in a category all by himself. This record does not taint anything Kobe did. Not only does not diminish anything that Kobe has accomplished. To me, of all accomplishments that Kobe has achieved, and I have Kobe number 2. I've said it before and I'll say it again: Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James. I That doesn't change anything. And somebody passing that 81 points does not change anything, because I don't look at Kobe as being the number 2, one of the top players ever because of one great game. I look at his totality of who Kobe Bryant is. He's a guy who studied from who I consider the GOAT, Michael Jordan. He studied him hard, and he was a very good student of the game. I don't feel as if he surpassed Jordan, but I definitely do think he definitely closed the gap, and he learned a lot from Jordan, and he made it his own in a certain way, and he made it Kobe. Rest in peace to Kobe. So this doesn't change. Like, I think with the modern day NBA player, when they take something from the great, like this record that he took from Kobe, that they automatically feel like, now I'm better than Kobe, or I'm in the same discussion as Kobe. No, because that 81 points is not what I considered in it by itself that made Kobe Bryant Kobe Bryant. What made Kobe Bryant to me number 2 was the Mamba mentality, his mindset, the worth ethic the man put in, the insane worth ethic, the amount that he tried to hold people accountable. So much so where I felt as if Kobe went overboard, and he was the problem in this relationship. Shaq, Kobe, a lot of the time they had issues in their relationship. It wasn't because of Shaq, it was because of Kobe being extra and trying to hold Shaq accountable. I think sometimes, Kobe had that mindset of, you got to work, 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 work. Shaq wasn't that type, but Shaq was, sometimes there's exceptions to every rule. Shaq was very productive, a la not doing all of the work ethic that Kobe did. So what makes him number two? The work ethic, the mindset, the winner's mentality, the never give up, the 5 championships, and it goes on and on and on and on. The 81 points was just one of the footnotes, but not anything I would say because of that. Hey, because of that, he had one great game, and actually, quite frankly, Kobe could have had games where he got 80 or 81, but he chose not to. This game was actually in a competitive setting, and it worked out. So I do think Bam had a lot of help getting this record. I will say that much. Help, what I mean by that was coaching, the teammates, and I would even say the refs. Eh, You know, he had a lot of assists in this. And again, 83 is still 83, and he got it, but he didn't get it the traditional way that Kobe got it, taking, fadeaway jumpers, getting a lot of jump shots. We know how Kobe game was. May he rest in peace. Kobe got the record to being Kobe. This was not Kobe. And that's what upsets a lot of people. I'm not mad about it or upset, but I can understand, looking at the whole totality of everything, why somebody would feel a certain way and not give this record credit. I can understand it. He didn't do it the traditional way. And I'll even go a step further where Bam starts saying he gave Kobe credit and all that. Yeah, I'm not buying that. Unfortunately, this is what happens in the black and brown community. Let's just call it for what it is. You were trying to dethrone another brother who you felt was very successful. And unfortunately, may he rest in peace, you got his record, but you did not do anything as far as making yourself in the category of Kobe Bryant. And a lot of time when people feel as if you got a record, whether it's in business, whether it's in sports, it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be like a hollow victory. If people feel as if you had an unfair advantage or you cheated, which he didn't cheat to get this, but you can almost say he had a very favorable unfair advantage in how crappy the Wizards are, how his whole team let him do his thing, how he kind of, I would say, ran into people and got fouled and got the foul call. Things lined up for him and he got the record. But I know he feels like this is kind of like a hollow victory. I should be getting appreciated, celebrated, all that good stuff. Folks, in life, in our society, if people feel you broke a record with an advantage, with, you know, maybe not playing things by the book, if they feel like you got something, especially a record, not legit, they are not going to give you your props that you deserve. The props and respect in business. There was a guy who, in sales, who was selling, but he was one of those type of people that people felt like was getting sales a little shady. And even though he had some magnificent numbers, he never got the respect he felt he should have. Well, because people feel as if you cheated. Unfortunately, they're not going to give you that respect. Just use an example. I respect, I think he's a Hall of Famer, but what I mean, like his talent and his play, but because of some gray areas, let's put it nicely, Barry Bonds broke Hank Aaron's record. And even to this day, people don't revere Barry the way you would think they would do Hank Aaron because they feel Hank Aaron did it legit without any gray area there as far as his play. He had actually a disadvantage because of all the racism he had to deal with, prejudice and racism. He actually could have probably done even more home runs. So he is going to always get that props and that love, Hank Aaron. If you go ahead and break Hank Aaron's record and you had what people feel was an unfair advantage, you're not going to get the respect and the admiration from people that you think you might should because you broke a record because they feel as if you took a record away from somebody who actually did it legit. And that's kind of what happened with Bam out of Bayou. He's not going to get the admiration that a Kobe got because Kobe, they felt, did it fair and square in a competitive setting. Total different situation than what they feel Bam did. Again, Bam has a record. He's number two. But I can understand why somebody is not going to celebrate this or give it its props. It's still 83. Still, he's going to have that number. But yeah, it was highly suspect. And again, Bam is the modern day NBA player. There's a lot of things with the modern day NBA player that kind of frustrates and irritates somebody who knows better, who's been watching the game for a while. The guys nowadays think they're great, they think they're magnificent. There's a lot of immaturity to the way they go about their business. They get a record like this and they're wondering why people are upset. Well, you did a bunch of free throws. You kind of lunged into some people. You had your whole team help you out. You did all of this to get to 83, and you're playing the worst team, probably one of the worst teams in NBA history. So, yes, it's an NBA team, but this is not the same situation that Kobe did it under. Kobe had about 20 something plus points in the first half, and he went crazy in the second half. Before you know it, 81 points. And this was late in his career. So, yes, there's a difference how people are going to respect and admire the record based on the fact that they felt as if there was shades of gray in there, a lot of shades of gray. People feel as if the shades of gray in any record, yeah, in sports and business, they're just not going to celebrate you, give you that admiration and respect and appreciation you feel as if you deserved because they felt as if you did it underneath shaky circumstances, unethical circumstances. They feel a lot of times people feel as if you stole a record from somebody who actually did it the right way versus what you've done. So that's where Bam is going to be. It's going to be a blessing. I feel like this record for him is going to be a blessing, and it occurs at the same time. I already see it. Been already see it since it happened, and all that water, throwing water on him, and all that, act like you won the championship. That was over the top, and I just think Miami Heat, the whole organization was just they were going extra. And yeah, they got 83 points, but it was a lot of extra unnecessary stuff up in there. And I can understand why people was annoyed by this record. I'll just leave it as that. So the positive in Bam breaking the points is this. By Bam out of Bayou breaking this record and getting 83 the way he did, I 1000% said to myself, you know what? I know there's no video evidence of Wilt Chamberlain scoring 100, but to me, I am absolutely convinced, without a shadow of a doubt, that Wilt Chamberlain did indeed get 100 points. I know there's no video evidence, but I would not bet against that because Wilt is 7-1. If you play in a team that's not great, as you see with the Wizards, which I think Wilt was playing a team that was not even in competition, not even as good as the Wizards. I think they were probably not even as good. Plus, he's 7-1 and he's more athletic, and he was known as being a ball hog anyway. Stat ball hog. So, yes, I do believe because Bam got this record, number two, that without a doubt, that confirmed with me Wilt Chamberlain did it legit. I could see somebody at Wilt back in the day playing against a scrubby team who was a ball hog anyway. I could see them having a hot day, things go their way, and then boom, they get 100. So I thought maybe it was a little questionable, but now that I see that with Bam, more Bam than Kobe, because 81 is still 19 points away from 100, but 83, 17 points, I could see it. I could definitely see it because if a guy's 7-1, he just gets a lot of layups or dunks. You just throw it to him, he turns around and dunk it, and you're playing against crappy, crappy competition. It only takes a couple seconds, and then you could just keep doing that. You get by the basket, you're 7-1, you could just roll it off the backboard. I mean, yeah. And if you're playing against not guys that are they're in the NBA because we had nobody else to fill up the spot, yeah. So without doubt, Wilt Chamberlain got 100 points. That was a positive I took out of it that we know is confirmed that Wilt did indeed get 100 points. So yes, so that's what we my takeaway on that from the positives. Yeah, and now we're gonna switch gears about the UFL and some amazing opportunities coming up. You got a little over 2 weeks to go. In fact, today's Friday the 13th, the 28th, 29th, that weekend, next, not so tomorrow, 1 week, another week, and there we go. A lot of great things are happening in the UFL. They're pulling out all the stops. Let me talk about the Renegades first. 33% off on home opener tickets. If you're in Dallas, you get a chance to see Ty Myers. So that is awesome. Get 33% off the ticket, and you get a halftime show of Ty Myers, who will be playing during the halftime show on March 28th. Guys need to show up. There's no excuses. No excuses. If you want the league to survive, you got to be there for the home opener. You got to show, it's 2 weeks to go. You got a halftime show. That's awesome. And, I just think that if you want the UFL to survive, you got to put in the work. You got to show up in these games. 33% off for the home opener. Check it out. Come down. And, if you don't want to commit to season tickets, it's still a great deal, 33% off. And then you get a halftime show too. So, people talk about Bad Bunny. Ty Myers speaks English. You won't be getting no Spanish from Ty Myers at all. Not a word. So you should go there and make it happen. Make it happen. Show up to the home opener. And let's see, if you cannot make it for whatever reason, make sure you show up to some more games. Let me just take a look here. And yeah, now I will be covering two teams too, the Dallas Renegades as well as the Orlando Storm. So this particular weekend, I will be here in Orlando covering the game. The great thing for me is I'm going to be covering both games, but I'm going to be physically at the Orlando Storm home opener. And it works out fantastic because guess what? Yes, indeed. DJ Khaled is going to be the halftime show doing his thing. That's going to be awesome. And that's on March 29th, the day after. See, one Saturday. Let me just make sure. Look here. And one Sunday. So I will be at the Sunday game, the home opener, Interco Stadium. They're going to take on the Columbus Aviators. And the Houston Gamblers are who the Dallas Renegades going to be taking. The game is at 8 p.m. It's a night game on ESPN. So that's going to be awesome. ESPN is going to be broadcasting it, night game, and you're going to have DJ Khaled. All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Yep. Wild thoughts, no brainer. We the best. Let's go golfing. That's yeah. So it's gonna be fantastic. So yes, DJ Khaled, and for the Battlehawks, you're gonna have Nelly, and that's something new. They pull it out all the stops here for you guys. Mike Rapoli, he pulling out all the stops. This is Vitamin Water. This is Mike Rapoli. He's coming out swinging. 33% off. Nelly, Ty Myers, and DJ Khaled. And they might add some more. But so let's Ty Myers in Dallas. Orlando Storm is DJ Khaled. St. Louis Battlehawks, it is going to be Nelly. And that's a fantastic lineup, man. Already, I just feel like they're probably going to add maybe some more. Yeah, that's big time. Yeah, so you guys need to get those tickets and support. Go out and enjoy game. Don't be crying to me if you don't go out to games and you worried about your team. Business people go in business to make some money, and they can only make money if you guys show up. So Nelly and the St. Lunatics. Nelly and the St. Lunatics halftime performance. His is on March 28th at 11 a.m. in St. Louis. the home opener. That's also 33% off. Yeah, that's one way to pack the dome. I mean, yeah, I say that too with the Orlando Storm. You got DJ Khaled. I mean, Ty Myers. You got, you know what I mean? Go out there and support. That's big time. There was something else here I wanted to share with you as well. Okay, the United Way, United We Rally, United Football League announces UFL kickoff challenge and musical performance for 2026. Okay. As the kickoff of the 2026 United Football League UFL season quickly approaches, the UFL has continued to boost and invest in the fan and community experience beyond the previously announced game themes. With the addition of headline music acts, community rallies, special deals, and incentivized promotions for the respective home opening games to bring in some cross community competition before the official start of the season. The UFL Kickoff Challenge will push to see which team will fill their stadiums first for their home opener. There you go. The challenge winning community will be determined by which team has the most single game tickets purchased for the season opener from Thursday, March 12th, which was yesterday, through Thursday, March 26th, which is going to be, let me just see here, not this Thursday, the following Thursday, like 2 days before the season starts. The city and fans with the winning team will earn the rally capital of the NFL and receive 1 day 50% discount for select team merchandise for respective winning teams through the NFL shop. To further showcase and reward the team's faithful supporters, teams are offering a special incentive to participate in the challenge. A 33% discount on home opener tickets purchased during the 2 week window. Fans may access information about the UFL kickoff challenge and single game tickets offered for their favorite teams at theufl.com/tickets. Theufl.com/tickets. Yes. Yes. So that is awesome. And finally, as part of the lead up to the start of the season, countdown the kickoff fan fest will take place to bring communities together, build excitement, and give fans the opportunity to meet and greet some of their favorite coaches and players. In addition, after training camps, coach and players will be in the markets engaging with the community and making surprise visits to further stir up the football faithful for the start of the new season. So keep your eyes out. They're going to be doing a lot of community events. Let me read this too. Throughout the season, fans will be treated to headline musical acts from top performing artists across the music industry. Earlier this week, it was announced when he performs at Lynn Family Stadium in Louisville on the season opening day, Friday, March 27th, as the Louisville Kings make their debut in the league against the Birmingham Stallions. Additional artists covering genres from hip hop to rap to country to rock and soul will be announced in the continued lead up to a season kickoff. And we'll also read this one too. During the season, fans will have the opportunity to truly experience a fun fact, fast pace. Let me just say that again. It's like a tongue twister. Truly experience a fun, fast paced, family friendly game day through an elevated sports and entertainment event. When the UFL kicks off its third season, games will feature giveaways at all contests, robust fan fests, musical acts, ticket incentives, and theme nights. UFL teams will kick off their theme nights during their home openers with a city celebration, honoring the spirit, culture, and history of the cities they represent. So yes, that's awesome. Make sure you guys stay connected. TheUFL.com. Be at the home opener. Take your 33% discount. Go ahead and see the music. Have a great time. Let me see here. That's awesome. That is fantastic. All right. Let me see here. Okay, so we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk now Major League Baseball as we break down the Rays ballpark situation. Here at the Allen Alford Sports Talk Show, I went to the final. There was only three community. How do I say it? Let me just make sure I say it the way they writ it down here. I want to make sure I got the title just right. So it's called the Rays Community Engagement Meeting. This was the final one of three that they had. There was one Tuesday and Wednesday. I went, the last one was on Wednesday, and they had one the prior week, which was on Thursday. So Thursday, I believe, Wednesday or Thursday, which I couldn't make that one anyway. Then they had one Tuesday, which I could have possibly made, but I felt Wednesday was a better day for me in my schedule. So I went to save the best for last, the last one on Wednesday. What CEO of the Rays, Ken Babby, did say they're going to make some more, schedule some more, but as of right now, there's none on the schedule. So if I was CEO Ken Babby, I would try to make it sooner than later because once the season starts, it's going to be tough. So what are my thoughts? So what's happening is this is what's happening to make it, just I don't know how much you know about the situation, but the Rays basically want to get, I'm gonna paraphrase a 2 point, let's say just under $3 million, $3 billion stadium, 2.7 or 2.9, or I forget the exact number, but it's gonna be close to three, but not exactly $3 billion stadium. What the Rays ownership group, it's not just CEO Ken Babby, it's total of three, they are going to put up 1.7 billion of the money, basically about half. I would even say a little bit more than half. Okay, but a significant amount of the other half is going to go to, the taxpayers. Now, what they're getting in return is not just a ballpark. They're going to have hotels. It's going to be on the Hillsborough College site. So you'll be able to go to college. You'll be able to stay at a place there, get something to eat. It's going to be like a community at the ballpark. And they did say if you are minority or if you attend Hillsborough College and the jobs start opening up, you would have first dibs to those opportunities, what they were saying. So outside of it just being baseball, there is a lot of great things for somebody living in Tampa Bay can benefit. But just like anything in life, if you want to have something nice, sometimes you got to come out the pocket. I know nobody likes to come out the pocket for things, but the reality is you want to get the most value and most bang for your buck. Sometimes you have to pay for that. And I feel as if this is a great thing. I mean, I know that your taxes may go up 100 or 200, 300, maybe $500. I don't know exactly those numbers, but it is going to go up some to go ahead across the board for everyone to get this raised ballpark approved. Also, not just the financial, they also need help from the city council, meaning the city council has to vote on this. So even though they have the governor, the mayor, the raiser in, a lot of their sponsors are good. Even though all these parties are good, the one party they have to make sure is good is to make sure you don't step on anybody's toes, but they have to make sure that the vote gets approved. Because unfortunately, you can do all the other stuff went great. It gets down to the vote. I think it's a great thing. If I was voting for it, I would. Yeah, your tax will go up a little bit, but now there's more opportunities for somebody to get a job versus going out there doing some shady stuff. And it's going to be, I think, an awesome stadium. I think it's a great opportunity for Tampa. Yes, the owners are putting up a lot of money, but you can't expect them to put up all the money and you get all the benefits. Oh, now I get a chance to, you know, be first to get a job, be first to all of this good stuff, but you have to support the team. And yeah, you have to support. And I saw some of the comments that the rich owners should just pay for it all. You know, putting up half or a little bit more than half is a big commitment. Not only that, they you don't know they may not have the money to get the full thing, almost under 3 billion, but that's where you're trying to get help. Maybe they're paying, I would say, about 60-65% of it. You guys have to pay the rest, or if you want 60-40, that's fine also. But they are paying more than 50%, and that's a huge investment they're making. You know, it has to work. So it was an outstanding event. I'm gonna put up more. There was an interview I did. I'm gonna put that up as well as all the pictures. I put up just a few. But yeah, it was an outstanding event. People got a chance to come there and ask their questions about traffic and opportunities. And really gonna be opportunity. They answered all those questions. I was like, man, this is the time where if you was just coming to the meeting, you would have probably been better off in certain ways. But if you're from the media, Ken Babby didn't answer any questions from myself or somebody else in the media. So, and I spoke to the correspondent, the media correspondent, and I asked them, and they told me that basically Ken Babby was going to do an interview after or during. So yeah, I wasn't disappointed. Made the most of it. It was a great time. I got the video up, 4K. Check it out. Definitely was a great time. And what we're gonna do is do a quick little break, and there's much more to come here on the Allen Alford Sports Talk Show. Don't go anywhere. We're gonna do a quick little break and be right back with you. Right. back. We're back. We're back. We're back. Really appreciate you guys. So, yes, big time Sam Scola. He's doing some big things there. He's got volume 46 out for you guys. Make sure you check it out on YouTube and Spotify. That's right. Volume 46, Sam Scola Songs. It's right there, YouTube or Spotify. Go ahead and check it out. Let me make sure yep, Volume 46, released and out now. Really appreciate Sam Scola Songs and appreciate his wife, Mary. That's the man right there, Sam Scola Songs. In fact, what we'll do is we'll have an opportunity for you to connect with Sam Scola, sing along with Sam at gmail.com. Sing along with Sam at gmail.com. That is for opportunities and business, no spam. Please sing along with Sam at gmail.com. No spam. Don't spam Sam. There you go. All of his songs are available on YouTube and Spotify. Really appreciate Sam Scola's songs and his wife, Mary. Yes. So definitely a lot going on. That is for sure. And wanted to make sure that you guys I make sure I covered everything. Yes. So, okay. I did want to give you my final thoughts on the Randy and Cal drama. Look, you could just dap the guy up. You're not going to give away a competitive advantage because you dap somebody up. You're the catcher. You're going to be calling balls and strikes. You're not going to now because you dap them up say, okay, throw a meatball around the middle plate. No, I felt as if he was taking himself too seriously. He's your teammate. It's not something like a total stranger where you didn't know what to do. Just, just give him a little dap. Not a rude way, not like a dap, you just get out of here, but give him a little tap and that's it. Just sort of respect and keep it moving. It's not, you're not going to lose the edge because you're competitive like that. It's still competition. You can still compete and play real hard and still be respectful. Nothing wrong with that. So yeah, I think Cal did take himself a bit more seriously than it really is. You know, you can just tap the guy up. There's nothing that would have been the end of it. And he's reaching out his hand to shake your hand. If he did shake his hand, now that you shook his hand, you're gonna let your whole competition go to wayside? No, I don't think so. So yeah, next time just dap the guy up. That's it. Shake his hand, whatever. That's it. Acknowledge it. Don't just shun him away. I think Randy went a bit overboard too. Like okay, he shunned you, but it's not the end of the world. So I see faults on both sides. Randy, overreacting, making it such a big deal, throwing a bunch of f bombs afterwards. That's unnecessary. And I think Cal, you're not giving away your competitive advantage because you shook his hand. You know, trust me, you're gonna be all right. So So that is going to be the show for tonight. The Allen Alford Sports Talk Show will be back Friday night. Same bad time, same bad channel, 8:30 p.m. CST, 9:30 p.m. EST. That's right. Enjoy your spring break here I would say in Florida, or if your kids are off this week, enjoy spring break. Going to give you a lot more here on the Allen Alpha Sports Talk Show. Also, I know I'm backed up on some of the interviews and content. I will be putting them out. It's a fine line. You don't want to over kind of like post too much, but you don't want to under post. I'm going to get them all out. Everybody's going to get their content released. So don't worry. My guys, I'm going to take Coach Newheisel. I may not win in punctuality, but I will win on effort. And I'm going to get them interviews out and the content out. It's just sometimes you get backlogged in content. It's just you got more content coming in a lot faster. You can put it out, which is always a great thing, but it does mean that people don't get their stuff as quickly as they would hope, or they get it yesterday. It takes a little bit of time. And again, you don't want to put, too many posts. I'm not there yet. When you're a celebrity, you can post as much as you want in most cases. Because the more people see of you, the more they enjoy it. But I'm not there yet. You post up 2 or 3 more, you notice your following list is going lower and lower and lower. The haters getting madder and madder. You know how it is. The haters see you doing your thing. Now your following list, you're like, all right, I'm gonna start getting at least a couple follows. Now the haters are starting to unfollow you, and you're doing like this. So when you overpost, that's what happens. Your following list and likes, and more importantly, the people who follow you or subscribe, they somehow hit the unsubscribe button. There's a lot of hate out there, folks. We're gonna talk about that next week too. But for now, be blessed, be well. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Alford Sports Talk Show. Always a pleasure. You guys are fantastic. Really appreciate you all. You make these opportunities possible. And we're gonna ride off in the sunset with another Sam Scola song. So you guys enjoy it. Be blessed, be well. Go out there, support. Be a player congratulator, not a hater. This is Alan from the Alford Sports Talk Show. Definitely let's go.
It's the end of the show. Let's thank all the fans before we go. It's the end of the show. The Allen Aaron Sports Talk Radio Show. Thanking our special guest. Thanking our sponsor. It's the end of the show. Tune in again for next week's show. It's the end of the show.